What is this? Ashley St. Clair confirms all our suspicions that right-wing influencers have all their messaging coordinated to get paid bounties, including millions for promoting Israel.
How the pay-to-play MAGA influence campaigns work. For those who don't know, my name is Ashley St. Clair, and I was involved in MAGA politics and was a MAGA influencer for almost a decade. I know. Now, MAGA, and really MAGA, not so much just GOP messaging, is incredibly coordinated. And I was initiated into this very young.
What is happening? Ashley St. Clair was Elon Musk's baby mama. If you remember, he mailed his semen to her. Actually, I think he actually did have sex with her, but I like to say that he mailed his cum to her. Because I think it's very funny. And she is Elon Musk's baby mama, right? She had a child of Elon. And then like he was so repulsive. Elon was so repulsive that like I think she just dramatically altered everything in her life. Like everything she believed in reversed, because she was like, this is, you know, if this is who I am now and this is who I'm around, like I gotta change things. Yeah, reversed divorce court, if you will. Yeah, she did a 180. Like she used to be like transphobic, all this stuff. She's against it all now.
19 years old when I was first brought on to Turning Point. That was when I was invited to my first Turning Point.
Dick so bad made her woke. I mean, like I said, it was the cum in a napkin, in a mail.
Event, and was really thrust into this MAGA influencer ecosystem. In 2015, 2016, MAGA and their operators realized how important and consequential social media was for politics. This really started during the Obama years when they harnessed the internet and email campaign messaging, and then MAGA took it to the next level with things like Cambridge Analytica and coordinated messaging on sites like Twitter. Their main avenues for this influence are group chats, paid influence campaigns, and parties. Now, for the group chats, they operate with large influencers, particularly on Twitter. That is their primary mode of communication, is Twitter. And they will have these giant group chats that make influencers and individuals feel important because they are in group chats with members of the administration, people on the Trump team, in which they coordinate these messaging tactics. They also have coordinated calls with these campaigns and with these politicians, so you feel that you are important. What I really want to focus on, What I really want to focus on though is the paid campaigns, because this is able to fester through many loopholes within our own regulations and laws, because since what they're promoting is messaging or petitions or campaigns and not a service or a product, they do not have to disclose that they are paid for this on social media. So they have these Republican operatives, some of which were former White House, who build out these platforms that these right-wing influencers can log onto and see active campaigns and sign up for and get paid for promoting certain messaging, certain initiatives, certain petitions. And this pay is typically, per click. Sometimes it's a flat rate, but it is everything from, hey, tell your audience to call their members of Congress and vote a particular way on this bill, or, have your followers sign this petition, promote this propaganda, XYZ. And the structure is indistinguishable from ad campaigns that you would do for a traditional company. So if you take, Tarte, for example, or a cosmetic.
Pause Sparrow. Y'all need to find Jesus. We found Allah already and his prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him.
Brand or what have you. Typically when they get influencers, they will also have a company copy or things that they should say, a script. And so do these right-wing influencers. They are given a script, they are paid, and they post it. And the only difference is that they do not have to disclose that it's an ad, because of our current laws and regulations do not require them to do so, since it is not a good or a product. Now, some of these consulting firms that pay for this stuff, they will show up on FEC records because, the campaign or the PAC or the candidate pays them. But once they pay this consulting firm, it's gone. There is no further disclosures required by the consulting firms or anything like that. So this is a good way for them to hide exactly who they're paying for messaging, because it just goes through these firms that do not require any.
That's so funny. Leisha Miller just dropped a video defending you. Hey, Hasan, Leisha Miller made a video about you and Hasan derangement syndrome. It's so funny, chatters, because we just got done watching that, like approximately 30 minutes ago. And I watched it for a very long time, which you can rewind and see my reaction to if you subscribe to the Piker Broadcasting Service. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. The Piker Broadcasting Service is sponsored by you, the people, for you, the people. If you like the stream and you think to yourself, man, how could I possibly support the stream? How could I possibly support the stream?
Additional reporting to the FEC. And again, they also have these group chats with members of the administration and high-up officials that, especially when a scandal or controversy breaks out, all of this messaging is
a candle in the dark. Thank you for the 20.
Here's how we respond to the files. Here's how we respond to the war. Here is how we respond to everything. So there's this entire ecosystem of large influencers. All of the largest influencers that you have seen in the right wing, 99% of them are paid or compensated or having their back scratched in one way or another. And then this trickles down because the people under them, these smaller influencers, are not aware of this. So when they're looking to these larger accounts in response to...
Michael Carbonara pays $160 per 100K views if you post clips of him. Who the fuck is Michael Carbonara? That sounds like you made that name up. What? That's a person? Michael Carbonara? He does magic? That's a pasta. Yeah, I mean, that's what, yeah, Jeff Rigatoni gives you $170 actually.
Controversies or messaging, what they're seeing is actually very coordinated and very sophisticated influence campaigns from the top. There is no free thinking here whatsoever. They are waiting to get Carbonara's
cousin,
a direct deposit. This also works on a smaller scale for influence campaigns because there are private, very wealthy donors that will pay independent journalists to do certain projects or videos, and that never has to get reported to the FEC because it's between two private individuals, even though the messaging and the influence is for political purposes. This happened to me at one point when there were a lot of scandals going on with the airlines and immigration, which I unfortunately had a role in boosting that rhetoric. I had a very wealthy billionaire who reached out to me because he had personal beef with Southwest, so he wanted me to do a sting operation on Southwest to see if they were...
Dude, I 100% believe every word that's coming out of her mouth. I genuinely think a lot of these guys are extremely online, like billionaires specifically, and they identify people that they despise. In this circumstance is me, or there's like wealthy interest groups and shit like that, and they absolutely pay people to just constantly do these like smear operations against corporations. They lean into pre-existing Republican messaging as well. They do it for ideological purposes too. Like, I mean, with Laura Loomer, I don't think Laura Loomer is coming after me because some billionaire is paying her. I think Laura Loomer is coming after me because she's insane and also an omega dick rider of the nation state of Israel. I think that's her primary purpose there. But definitely, like when you see all those... Here, I'll give you one example. For the longest time, especially post Elon Musk purchase of Twitter, blue checkmark power farmers, like farmers, who oftentimes bought their likes as well, have dominated Twitter discourse, right? They've dominated Twitter discourse. And I know for a fact that all of the kick stake sponsored drama clip channels absolutely were coming after me for that reason. And all you need to do is just like establish a base level of resentment for normies and make it seem like there's something very controversial there. And once that faucet opens up, the algorithm feeds into it. Okay? Because then it doesn't take much for a coordinated smear campaign to get off the ground. All you need to do is create a level of controversy around someone by smearing them, and then tie it back to some kind of ideological goal as well. And then once you do that, other people will follow suit, because a lot of influencers are super responsive to the algorithm. A lot of influencers see something going on in the algorithm, someone actually gaining a lot of momentum, doing something, and they just follow through on it. And that's part of the reason why there's so many people who probably have politics that are not dissimilar to mine, maybe not to the same degree, maybe not the same ideological tendency or whatever, but certainly, liberal, apolitical people, or even like outright progressive people who have seen the impact of like fuck Hasan campaigns, and they'll just lean into it in an effort to farm centrist and apolitical people to show them that they're not bad. Like, once you craft a villain, once you identify a villain and you craft a villain on the internet, it doesn't take much for other people to get on board with that. And it's become much easier to do. Like, I think on Reddit, it was fairly easy to do because Reddit is like super botted. But since then, I would say Twitter has become an even more valuable tool in the same exact way. New, between October 2023 and December 2024, the Israeli army ran a covert psyop aimed at shaping public opinion in Israel and abroad, originating from the campaigns division of the IDF spokesperson unit. Ha-Makam recently revealed. They're calling it the least successful psyop of all time. Yeah, it did not work. It worked in the exact opposite way. But here's a great example of this. Like, look. Anti-Semites are turning me into a Zionist. Their low IQ energy is too much for anyone intelligent to handle. Will Chamberlain, really starting to feel like the anti-Semitism out there is turning me into a Zionist. Anti-Semites are turning me into a Zionist. Their low IQ energy is too much for anyone intelligent to handle. Anti-Semites are turning me into a Zionist. Their low IQ energy is too much for anyone intelligent to handle. These guys are not independent thinkers. They're getting paid to say that because they're chuds. Like, this is what Captive Dreamer does. For the longest time, I thought Captive Dreamer and many others were just like straight up anti-Semitic neo-Nazis, right? And they might still be anti-Semitic. And I think they did traffic in a lot more anti-Semitic tendencies and anti-Semitic statements back in the day, pre-October 7. But once the Israel stuff started shifting people's collective conscious, they very quickly became the stopgap for all of the right-wing chuds and all the edgy boys that would try to basically farm or steal as many of Nick Fuentes' audience as possible and feed them the exact same kind of like edgy rhetoric, anti-black, anti-brown rhetoric, and maybe even at times anti-Semitic rhetoric, while simultaneously trying to get them to not blame Israel and not blame America's relationship with Israel. I think it's had some success. I mean, Israel's most successful operation has always been never to talk about Israel necessarily, but to always talk about how like Muslims are a real danger. No, Captive Dreamer and others in that orbit have always been pro-Israel and knows why Fuentes has hated them. Yeah. They've always been pro-Israel. I'm just saying they used to say anti-Semitic shit at times as well. They kind of stopped doing that post October 7, but they've always been pro-Israel. You can be anti-Semitic and pro-Israel. There's plenty. It's like the majority of Americans. Here's proof that Gunther on Twitter sells reposts. MAGA grifting not so profitable anymore. One of MAGA's major dick sucks. Gunther Eagleman is feeling the squeeze from the market shifting against Trump and MAGA that he's resorted to selling reposts. Let's see. I've been working in a side business with some Patriots and a USA manufacturer. 1A, 2A. The only promotional posts I do are $300 reposts. I do charge. I can send you my Cash App if you still want the repost. Capitalize the B and God bless. I would say today isn't the best day for a retweet. Tucker Carlson is about to take all the traffic and attention away from any posts here in a bit. 6, 7 a.m. CT is the best time for me, usually for posts during the business week. That's so funny. Oh my God. 6, 7. Yes. 6, 7. 6, 7. This is so stupid. All these guys, bro. All these guys are unvarnished grifters, okay? Every single one of them. Every single one of those like drama farming clip accounts. Every single one of them. That's all they do. All they do is like clip streamers out of context, write like fake, deliberately fake captions, knowing full well that it'll farm the most outrage, and they get paid to do that. What? Please look into it. Hospice fraud in Cali. This is so important right now. I almost died. What do you? Okay. I hope you're all right, chatter. Yeah.
Flying migrants around the country. I did not do that.
Isn't hospice literally when you're, close to dying? Hospice care?
To obfuscate things even more, this happens between private companies as well. So
isn't hospice care palliative care? Like close to the end of your life type care?
some of the biggest private companies within the right, particularly the right-wing media, they will be reached out to by people who want particular messaging. I was aware of this several times in regards to Israel, where Republican companies, right-wing companies, private media companies were offered millions of dollars to promote pro-Israel messaging and just sprinkle in things. So they're also doing this very covertly when they're making these asks. They're saying, let's just sprinkle it in here and there for a larger scale, long-term influence campaign. And issues like this with money in politics really began around the 70s, late 70s. And there's a particular case that I've been fascinated by, which is Buckley v. Vallejo, and other subsequent precedents that basically solidify money as speech. And what you do, this happened like right on the heels of the civil rights era, right? And all of these individuals are now able to participate in democracy, at least on paper, in the same way as everyone else. Well, a lot of people, particularly very wealthy corporate men, were not happy about this. So they got right to work saying, well, we need to differentiate ourselves. And they basically complained to the courts and complained that corporations were basically political minorities and that they should be able to participate in politics and that money is speech. And our court affirmed this. The Supreme Court has affirmed many times that money is free speech. So by definition, there are a lot of people in this country who have more free speech than others. And our current system is incredibly archaic in the sense that it does not account for the internet and that these influencers do not have to disclose when they're paid, in the sense that basically money can be hidden in politics through these consulting firms, and I have seen it time and time again. They throw money around for everything. At one point,
Corporations are people, my friend, and they're not just people. They're very kind people. Corporations are, my friend,
offered a lot of money.
And their interests are my interests. I will defend them vociferously.
When the Trump administration admin picks were happening, and I can guarantee you he was not the only one in this pay-to-play scheme. And at the other end of almost all of these payments are also confidentiality agreements, meaning that even if these individuals involved had a change of heart and realized that they are participating in great evil, that they cannot speak up about it or they will get...
I'm Jewish. Are you going to ban me? What? Handlers. Why would I do that? What the Chowder came in here and was like, would you hide me? The answer to your question is no. I don't, unless you do something that violates this community's rules. You know, if you're not like being heinous, vile, toxic with your sentiment in the chat, you're probably going to be fine.
Sued into oblivion. So not only have the wealthy created a system in which their political influence means far more than yours, but they've also been the architects of a system in which they have these manufactured reputations and narratives, and they manufacture silence through these incredibly asymmetric contracts in which people could lose their livelihoods and reputations for speaking.
I'm white. What are you going to do? Ban me? Good luck, buddy. You don't know the storm that's coming when you do. Show Zabby dog. She's on I just let her out. I just released her. That was loud. Great video. I'm American. Are you going to ban me? Yeah.